Well, hello to the Warrens.
Hi.
Hello, nice to be here.
All right, Madison, it's a pleasure to meet you. Congrats on a great Conjuring film, which has been doing so well at the box office. How does that make y'all feel?
It's incredible. It's mind
Yeah.
blowing and awesome. And yeah, super happy.
Yeah, it's so great, to see it ahead of time and be like, "Oh, this is gonna be great," and then it does so well. It's just the best.
And I'm
Yeah,
just happy that people are going to the theaters. That makes me happy as like a film lover experiencing it together.
it's September, but spooky season is here, and y'all kicked it off, I must say, pretty darn well.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Obviously, the Warrens are one of the most iconic couples in horror history. But when you first got the call to be playing the young, Ed and Lorraine, what was y'all's initial reaction? And did it feel more exciting or some type of intimidation as well?
Both. I think initially ecstatic. You're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And then the reality of it sinks in, and you're like, okay, time to buckle my seatbelt and get to work. These are big shoes to fill. So definitely the pressure was there too. Yeah, step up to the plate.
Yeah, getting it was, I agree, just like, "Oh, this is so cool, this is amazing," and then you sit down and your heart rate slows and you're like, "Oh no, I have to do this.
Yeah.
I've got to do this justice." So it was a lot of pressure, but an honor, absolutely, absolutely.
The franchise has been running, for over a decade now with Patrick and Vera as the Warrens. Do you remember the first time you watched the first Conjuring film, and how'd you feel about it? Did you have goosebumps just leaving the theater?
I remember being scared. I mean, the clapping game, I know everyone talks about it, but that just genuinely got me. And at the time, I was like living in an old house, and it was like, There's gonna be something here. I know it. And I'm gonna hear claps."
Yeah, I lived in a house kind of in the country with no neighbors, and I think the original Conjuring is one of the most amazing classic horror movies of all time, and so effective and so scary. And also, I remember being so blown away by how good all of the children were in the movie. It's like this is some of the
Mhm.
best child acting I've ever seen. The Conjuring one is such a good film. Yeah.
What a universe! I didn't think after that first film we'll be here today. I mean, it's pretty awesome. I gotta know, how did y'all both balance honoring the performance that came before y'all being the young Warrens and bringing your own spin to the role as well.
It was a mixture of both. I think definitely for me, Patrick Wilson's performance and creation of Ed Warren as a character was the guiding light, and everything was like, how can I do this justice? How can I honor this? But also, how is he different when he's younger, when he's more naive, when he's less experienced, and how has that changed? And when we were both able to meet them, and he kind of gave us they both kind of gave us the like, yeah, you can take control of it. And after hearing that from them, it was like, all right, yeah, how can I make this my own and make this a younger version of the Ed we already love?
And I think the version of Lorraine that fans have become so used to is Vera's version. So for me, studied her performances and her in the films as much as possible, but she was also so generous with her time and was like, any questions you have, I'll answer them. And she was just lovely. But also, part of the reason they wanted to have younger people come in and play these is to bring a kind of different younger energy. So they also were like, embrace that too. Um, you don't know as much as we do. You haven't been in this as long as we have, and that's a good thing for this situation. So it was a marriage of all of those different layers.
I gotta say, casting spot on, and y'all did such a great
Yeah.
job. Can y'all share a little bit about the audition process? What is a casting sheet said? What are they looking for? Did you know what you were going in for? Because sometimes they kind of want to be a little bit more generic in it to see what goes on. But what was the studio looking for, and what was the casting process like? The auditioning.
I didn't know what I was going in for until the callback. After the first audition before the callback, then Michael and the casting director were like, "This is young Lorraine, so study her, study her, study her." And I think it was a tough. They really had to sell us to the studio because I think the studio was sort of trepidatious about it. Anyone stepping into Vera and Patrick's shoes or anything like that. So yeah, I know it was a big push to get us approved.
I think, I mean, especially since, they could have de-aged Patrick and Vera, that it was a risk to hire us. So the fact that they did that and through the audition process, we were able to prove that we could do it was such an honor. And it makes me honestly like optimistic for the future of Hollywood that, you know, that they did take a risk on us instead of doing the safe bet. And, you know, I just kind of bow my head to all the producers and everyone at the studio that, you know, we managed to pull it off.
Yeah.
I mean, the risk did pay off, but like y'all really laid down a great young Warrens and those scenes. I mean, y'all kicked off the movie pretty much and really just delivered something very haunting too in some of those scenes. And the delivery scene, man, wow, like that's unforgettable. That is for sure. So how do you
Yeah.
prep for something like that? And yeah, kind of give us some of the insights on that, because that is a very unforgettable scene and really set the tone as well.
I mean, it was intense. And, you know, it's so interesting watching it after experiencing it. We shot just that part of that scene over multiple days. And so it's really, gosh, it just requires so much stamina. And I think it is one of those things where, as, you know, the actor, you know that that scene's coming, and it's sort of like this cloud in the distance where you're like, okay, this scene's coming. Cause it's just, you know, it's going to be so demanding physically and emotionally. And it was. And I remember once we finished it, I was like, oh my gosh, we don't ever have to do that again. That's crazy. But it's the prep for it. I think for me, it requires just so much focus, but also having a teammate like Orion. I'm like, feel so safe with you. And I like, know we're in this together and you've got my back. And it's just about like being there together and present in the circumstances. And yeah, it was crazy. It was really intense.
Yeah, it was yeah, definitely super intense and multiple days was so exhausting, but kind of to what Madison said, I think just being there with her and for her through this experience and just, you know, kind of even shedding away just any character or idea of what someone would be, and just these are people going through a very traumatic experience, and what is that like for someone, and you know, how can we just be present with, you know, my wife who is going through this, and potentially my child who is, yeah, you know, also at risk right now.
I could feel the motions y'all were going through. Y'all really did a good job displaying them, but I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, I was going to say too, it's just such a team sport. And once all of the elements are in place, the production design is amazing. You know, the lighting is amazing. The other actors that you get to work with, all of the props and having all of those pieces, the real little babies, like the prosthetics, having them all come together to help fill out the world in such a beautiful way that it's also like just being present with everything that everyone else there is laying out for you is so cool and helps you so much.
I wanted to ask this, you brought it up. So was the baby real?
There were two versions. There was the baby that, oh, I don't want to give anything away. One baby was not, and then at the end, it was a real baby.
Regardless of what I saw, like, you know, I have problems with films with babies because most of the time you can tell when it's like the fake baby. I cannot, if you're telling me there's a real baby, I could never tell. I thought it was real the whole time. They did a good job. However they did it. I'm not going to try to give spoilers, but great job.
They were,
Yeah,
the prosthetics seemed incredible.
even in person, like it was very real and very haunting.
Yeah. So good on the props department on that one for sure. I got to ask, after living in the shoes of the Warrens for a while, do you see the world differently now? Do you find yourselves believing in the paranormal more, or at least looking at antiques, mirrors, old objects differently now?
I think I think about it more than ever before. I mean, definitely looking at, yeah, haunted objects or old houses, like, oh, what was on this land before? What is the history of this place? Is there something going on here? That's definitely more on my mind than before filming this.
Yeah, I think specifically the history of objects. I really love going to vintage stores and thrift stores and antique stores. And I think prior, I would just be like, wow, this is cool and beautiful. But I do think now there's an air of who owned this before me and where was this before me that I don't know if I questioned or was as curious about before.
Antiquing is going to be looked differently now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will say
I'm not
that.
going to buy any dolls from any antique store.
yeah, dolls and mirrors probably gonna avoid for a while.
Yeah.
That's true. Fans are already buzzing about your performances. I mean, like I keep saying, job well done on that. Please tell me there's rumblings of some type of spinoff, looking at the young Warrens again. Is that something you heard in the air or something obviously you both love to see happen?
I don't know anything, but I certainly loved being able to be a part of their story and whatever any would love to, continue to tell their story. But I'm just so grateful to be a part of this world.
Yeah, nothing to report, but I mean, being a part of this movie was so incredible. Being young Ed is just a role of a lifetime.
It's a tough role y'all had to be a part of, but like I keep saying, y'all really pulled it off, and I do want to see more from y'all. So obviously, outside the Conjuring, lastly, I want to ask, what's next for each of y'all?
I have a film that I co-wrote, co-produced, and am also in that is premiering at Fantastic Fest, which is an amazing genre festival. I'm so excited to go at the end of the month. So that's what's very much next on the docket, and very excited about that.
Fantastic Fest is great. We always cover that. I have one of my guys out there. I usually try to make
Oh,
it, but yeah, Fantastic Fest because I'm out here in Texas,
oh,
so it's
cool.
only like a 2-hour drive for me over there.
Oh, I should try to connect with him while I'm there.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll do that. We'll catch up for that.
That would be awesome.
Small world. I'm just working with my manager. Got a great PR team, and we're cooking up some new things. So stay tuned. I can do crazy martial arts. So get ready for that.
That's
Oh,
it.
that's awesome. That's an awesome
Yeah.
Easter egg right there. No, I'm excited to see more from y'all. And yeah, we have to definitely do this again. But Orion, Madison, thank you so much for y'all's time.
Thank you so much.
Thank
So
you. Appreciate it.